great. Okay. That's weird, like I'm talking to myself. Hi everyone. I don't know if anyone has started watching, or I'm here on Panoply Beauty. Thank you, Kelly, for inviting me over here from our rainy Baltimore. So we're going to very rainy today, actually, such as, hi Sue. So what we're gonna do, Jen is my wonderful client. She's been with me for what, I don't know how many years. Yeah, so
many years.
Many years, yeah. And she really wanted me to laminate her brows, so she just came back from Mexico, yeah. Isn't she lucky? Oh. And you know, so actually it's a really good day here today because it is raining. So number one rule, so what are we telling our clients when it's raining for the brow lamination? I guess everybody should know, bring umbrella, do not wet your brows, right? So rule number one, Jen, remember that? Yeah. So anyway, I am actually going to jump right into it. If I'm going to look at the questions a little bit later or when I get the timer going, but I want to navigate the video a little bit closer on her brows so you can actually see it. So you will hear me talking, but you're not going to see my pretty face, so I'm sorry. So a little bit interruption here. I'm just going to transfer the camera. Oh, turn the camera. So sorry, guys. So we get it right very close to her brows. Let me move it down a little bit. And then let me know if you can actually see her brows well. Oh, sorry, guys. Almost there. There we go. I think this is actually pretty good. And I will set this up. There we go. Jen, turn a little bit this way. Can you guys all see her brows well? Can anybody tell me? I'm looking at the screen right now. Hi, Kelly. Okay. Okay, perfect. So the light goes on, and this is even better. So the first rule, and maybe I'll ask Jen to look at the screen if you have any questions, so she can actually maybe, you know, read as we go. The first thing before any brow lamination services, guys, before you offer to the clients, even if the client comes in and she's in you and she really want to have it done, you want to make sure her brows are suitable for the service. So obviously Jen been my client and we've been talking about it for a while. So she's actually, you know, a perfect candidate. Her brows are really healthy. The hairs are a little bit stronger, but she has some, you know, kind of wild hairs right over here. So, and we always have a little trouble setting them. And she also want to keep them a little bit fuller. So very mild lamination gonna actually be perfect for her. So I already cleansed her brows with Elleebana oil-free makeup remover. Wipe it all with water so they're nice and crispy. For any of you who are starting lamination, you want to make sure that the product does not go too far around the brow area. So that being said, I actually, if it makes it easier for you to create a little line around the brow area where it's going to be kind of a guard for you where you shouldn't put the product. Whoever is already doing brows and see the area quite, you know, well, so and you don't have to do it, but I like doing this because it gives me kind of an idea, because when you start doing lamination you kind of get into it and then you don't even notice how much product goes around the brow on a skin, but we want to avoid it. This is kind of a very important rule, because the less product goes on the skin, the better it is. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna outline one eyebrow and one brow, just keep just like this. You can use any tools that you use for outlining. It doesn't have to be a perfect line, just very close to the hairs. This way I know when I apply the product, so it only goes on the area around the eyebrow. So some of the hairs in her brow, especially in her left eyebrow, a little bit, you know, they're a little bit on the shorter side and they're sticking up. So on those hairs, actually, you can use a little bit of adhesive just to make sure that they're pressed, that they're actually going to be in the position we want them to be. If you don't want to use adhesive, it's perfectly fine. I will show you when we use a clean wrap how to actually press those hairs down, because sometimes when we use a clean wrap and we do not see those hairs, they can actually be, you know, be moved in a different directions. So we'll start with the first solution. The first solution is, you know, the Profusion, Elleeplex Profusion Lift Lotion, the black pack. So make sure we're not mixing them. Black is number 1, and number 2 is our setting solution. So normally what I do, I establish how long I'm gonna put the solution on the brows after I start actually applying the solution and seeing how her hairs react. If I've never done her lamination, the best way to do is to watch hairs to relax. So we're gonna start the timer. After I apply the solution all over, we're gonna start the timer, and then I'm gonna start working the solution through the eyebrows. Do you guys have any questions or anything so far? No, okay, so we'll keep going. So the first solution, there are a couple of tools you can apply the first solution. You can use your, ooh, and I completely forgot one little thing. Hold on, guys. I am really, really sorry. My little wands. Ooh. There's always something, right, Jen?
And we have the timer if you need it.
There we go. So you can either use, depending on the size of the eyebrows, you can either use a the micro tip brush. So I have different sizes, so again, depending on the size. I have a little longer brush with the little longer tip, such is really good to press the product. Or you can use those little guys. I always forget the name of them, but it's a little micro brush as well. So there are a little bit of the conversation going on internet about those little brushes. So I want to point it out to you guys. So there's one message I received from the artist who was saying that we shouldn't be using those brushes on the brows because they're made out of plastic and they're actually hurtful for the brow area. While you're brushing it, you can scratch the skin and the product could go in. Well, to all honesty, we can do, I know that the mascara ones are made out of fibers, so we could, but it still can scratch the skin. So it's all about the pressure you apply, and it's all about how you apply the product. So we're gonna apply the first solution all over the brow, and then we're gonna start working the product through. I'm just very gently applying it on the brow area, just on the hairs. And it's very good for me to have this guide because I can actually see where I'm applying solution and it doesn't go too much on the skin. Make sure the hairs are completely covered. The first solution is a relaxing solution. So it's supposed to relax the hairs and make them flexible. Remember that. By knowing that, you will understand when the hairs start actually relaxing and you will see the hairs become softer. Her brows are actually quite stubborn. I don't think so. I want to process them for the full 6 minutes. So we're going to start the timer for 5 minutes. But the hairs are flexible, so there's no need for them to be processed more than 5 minutes. Now we can use a little brush and start working the solution through. very, very lightly. I'm not even touching her skin. My suggestion always to you guys, please do not brush the brows straight up. Here's what you're doing over here. Depending on the brow spine and hair growth and hair directions, you can actually break over here right at the base of a brow. The brow should have a little bend at the base. So if we are moving the brow in a direction, like in a completely opposite direction, you're actually not doing any good to the brow, and your lamination at the end, it's not going to have a good result in the week or so, or even in a couple of days when the client start growing, the brows start growing out. So I could see the brows relaxing. It's really pretty to watch. I wish we had like a magnifier. So the hairs become so flexible. There's some stubborn guys over here, so we'll have to style them pretty well in this area when we do the styling solution.
Do you want the timer started?
Yeah.
For 5 minutes?
No, we're gonna do now, we'll do 4 minutes.
Okay.
So again, because I don't know how her brows are relaxing the first time client, I'm not just gonna throw the clean wrap right away. I wanna watch her hairs. And this is very important, guys. Keep watching clients' hair so you're not gonna over process the brows. So even with the first solution, I'm actually styling them. I am not just brushing hairs up. All we need with the first solution is to relax eyebrows, but we still need to keep the shape as is. So now I can actually go ahead and put a clean wrap on, because the hairs are quite relaxed. They're relaxing beautifully. My timing is correct. So I'm gonna grab a clean wrap. I should have pre-cut it, so it's complete my mistake. Again, don't repeat my mistakes. I was definitely prepared for that. I'll tell you that. I couldn't wait for this live. I guess that's why I just forgot a couple things. So, and watch this little thing, guys. So what you wanna do, you wanna press the clean wrap at the bottom, right? So there we go first. And then we're gonna be pressing hairs. And you can actually watch how you're pressing hairs. So if there's any hair that coming out of a shape, you can actually lift it a little bit. We're gonna lift it from this side. See, so we're not disturbing. Correct the hair if you want it pressed a certain way, and then put the wrap back on. There we go. While this is processing, we're gonna go and move to the second brow. Again, we're applying solution all over the hairs, making sure all the hairs are covered. She has quite a density in her brows, so it's kind of fun to see them relax. And a timer for this brow, we're gonna start another timer, of course, when the solutions are applied on it. When the solution is on it completely. Covered, there we go. I have hardly any solution on the skin. And this is your goal, guys, to avoid any reactions on the skin, any redness, because despite the fact that this product is very good for this, for it's designed to go on the skin. It's not, it's not gonna harm the skin, but still, it's still a chemical solution. So we wanna make sure that as least as possible goes on the skin. Now we're gonna start the timer for this brow as well, 5 minutes. And while the timer is going, I'm gonna be brushing the brows, styling them, and watching them to relax. Again, I'm hardly touching the skin. If you have a softer eyebrows, as an example, you can use a brush like this There we go. Oh, hold on, guys. Can you see? Yeah. And you can press the, see, you can do it this way. If the brows are a little smoother, like not as strong of a hairs. With her brows, this little guy is amazing because she has a lot of density.
The 4 minutes is up on this side, just so you know.
4 minutes?
Mhm,
Okay.
on this side.
Okay. So what, actually, I wish she didn't trim her brows too, but some, you know, some clients just very happy with tweezers. So now this brow is brushed and beautiful. The solution completely covers the brow, and we're gonna do exactly the same thing. We're gonna do press the cling wrap just like that, and gently just press the hairs that need it. You want to make sure when you put the clean wrap, you only press it right here on the bottom. You do not want to press the brow all the way towards the skin. So the timer is up on this brow, right? We're going to remove the clean wrap. Use a little brush like this, the swab, and just take the solution off. The brows are very flexible. The brows are relaxed. And we can start styling them with the second solution. There are some over here, stubborn ones, but I'd rather have them not processed enough than over process. And that's why you make a little mental note for yourself, guys, so maybe next time when she comes in, we can up the time a little bit. We do not need to use the water to take the first solution off. So we can start applying the second solution right away. For the second solution, I do like to use a little micro brush right away. So what I do, well, actually, that shouldn't happen, but we're gonna set your hair as well. I apply it right on a little brush and start working it through her hairs. Again, very slowly and gentle. There are no harsh movements around the brows. Styling them in a way I want the brows to go. In the places where, as an example, there's over here, she has like a little calyx, so her brows actually, some hairs are going over and some hairs are going growing down. So I'll have to use a little extra details over here when I use the brush and then press the clean wrap to really style them in a way we want the brows to go. So will be all, the hairs will be all in one direction. See, the hairs are styling very nicely, very soft. Make sure we cover all. Once it's covered, we're gonna start a timer for 4 minutes. Can you start another timer, Jen?
You got
And
30 seconds on the right.
and I'm gonna be styling this brow in place.
Is it 4 minutes?
So again, right over here in this little spot, I want to create a little curve for the hairs. There we go. This is the most important step in a brow lamination. We're setting the brow in the position we want them to be. So again, cutting a clean wrap, and this I gotta be really, really careful putting it on, because I wanna make sure I do not disturb any hairs and pressing them in, again, right over here. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lift this a little bit, the clean wrap again, style, and start pressing there we go. So the hairs will be in a direction I want them to go. Now this brow is processed, so we're gonna take this off. What you can also do with the second solution, you can mix a little bit of a new, and we know the proportions, 1/8 of, we can mix a little bit of the new gem into the solution, into the second solution, to add a nourishment to the brows, especially if you're not tinting them, then it will be a good step to add it on, or we can finish the brows with it. This brow is a little bit more manageable. The hairs are actually laying down in the way I want them to go, so she doesn't have calico on this eyebrow, so you see they're just brushing in place so nicely. So we're gonna take the second solution and start working it through her brows. Very gently, not rushing through. There we go. Now we can start a timer for a minute on this eyebrow. This brow sets much easier. The hairs are in a position I want them to be. They're very flexible. Perfect. I'm gonna take a clean wrap and apply it on the eyebrow. And pressing the hairs a little bit more than we did with the first solution. So we wanna make sure they set in place just like that. We have
20 seconds on this
20
side.
seconds? Oh yeah, we're almost done on this one. Oh, so finally made it. Hey, beauty, so happy. Okay. You guys have any questions or anything so far? Can you see everything? There we go. 20 seconds is up.
Up right now.
All right, so we're gonna take the second solution off the eyebrow. I always make sure you remove the clean wrap in a direction from the front of the eyebrow to the end. There we go. So we're not disturbing the hair directions and keeping your work. What we just did in place. There we go. I used the dry one first, and then I'm just gonna use lightly a damp one. There we go. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait for the other eyebrow to process, and then I'm gonna apply the tint on both of them. Any questions so far? Can you see? Let me see. Amazon has them. The clean wrap? Yeah, okay. How many minutes do we have?
You have 1:35 on the side.
Yeah, if we have a little bit of a time, we can actually mix mix the tint. So I'm gonna be using a light brown with the 2% developer, an amazing combo for the Elleeplex Profusion system. 2% developer is very gentle on the freshly laminated eyebrows. It probably is the best percentage after the brows are laminated because the follicle is already, the cuticle is already open. So we do not need extra power to get the tint into the brows. Please remember that Elleeplex Profusion tint gives very light stain on the skin, sometimes even hardly any stain depending on the color you use. So if the client has any sparse spots like she has right over here, and unfortunately no matter what we would have done here with lamination, even if we moved her hairs over, she would still have a little spot here. So you just are going to show her how to fill this area with a precision pencil.
Scar tissue.
Scar tissue, it's, as we know, it's unbeatable in a brow world, so no henna, nothing covers it.
Okay, this timer's up on this
Timer
side.
is up?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it is
That's
up. So what I'm gonna do with the tint, I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of new red gen formula into the tint. You guys have questions there? So the tint will have a little bit of a nourishment, adds a nourishment to the brows. So removing the clean wrap, again, from the beginning to the tail. There we go. And the same way, I am cleaning, turn a little bit this way, her brows up. So see, I'm trying to do it so I do not disturb the shape that I am creating. There we go, the solution is gone. And then I use the damp one just to clean it thoroughly. There we go. Now I finished mixing the tint. Adding 1/8 of a part of a new reagent formula into my mix. Mixing it all in. I love this developer and consistency of those tints, guys. It's so amazing. You would mix into setting lotion. Yeah, 1/8 of a part. It doesn't matter where you mix it. Either you mix it into the second lotion or into the tint. It's 1/8 of the, it's 1/8 part. There we go. All mixed. It's so creamy. It's so beautiful. Turn a little bit this way. So again, I'm going to create a really light outline for myself before applying the tint. Whoever knows me, you guys know I have to have my outline. It's just so good for you to have this guide so you can really precisely apply the tint on the brows without doing too much of an extra cleaning. There we go. I'm gonna start my application from the middle of a brow and a tail. Covering, make sure you're covering all the hairs. See, because I really didn't have the solution, the lamination solutions anywhere on her skin around the brow. Her skin is so nice, so there's no redness whatsoever. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen some work where brows look so red after lamination. It's all caused by applying either too much product or simply too much product when on the skin. Those hairs over here are nice and laminated and they're kind of sticking out a little bit. So what I like to do, I like to take the brush and press them back into the tail. So what we're just gonna get them into the tint. There we go. The tail should always come to the point. There we go. Again, just keep in mind that light brown is not gonna cover her spot over here, the sparse area. So you wanna make sure you're open to the client and tell them that this is not going to be the case. She still will have to use some makeup. Such is going to be on this brow a little bit as well. We're missing a little bit of a front and a little bit on the arch area. Lamination, of course, is great, and it's a lot of times we see it creates beautiful fluffy brows. But if the client is missing hairs on the arch over here or in the beginning of a brow, there's no way lamination can add hairs there. All lamination can do is add hairs right here, right on the top, because we are stretching the brow up. I mean, some clients, when I did the corrective lamination, what I did, I might move the hairs around a little bit, but it's still the whole purpose of it to create the fuller brow, but the whole fullness is going to come to this area on the top of the arch and on the top of the tail over here. But we cannot really fill the gaps over here. So when you see the artist showing a brow, when it has the gaps over here, either they use the tint to stain the skin really well, or really like the tint to stain the skin better, or they just fill the brows in. There we go, applied on the second eyebrow. Normally the processing time when we do the regular tint application, you can process Profusion tint system. I normally do around 10 minutes for the client, 8-10 minutes. Here the processing time should be shorter. 5 minutes is good, depending of course on the client's eyebrows. Normally if I'm using a little bit darker color, then I test it, so to make sure I'm not over processing and making the brows too dark. What happens when you use the tint on the laminated eyebrows, hairs become much more open and the color sticks to it a little stronger. So if you do use a darker color, you want to make sure that you watch it and do not make the brows too dark for the client. So all hairs are covered. We're just gonna wait for you to process.
Do you set a timer?
We kind of want to probably 3 minutes now for the other brow, yeah? We're just waiting. The color develops so beautifully. I tweeze my client's eyebrows. So if I have this little time right now, so I'm just gonna tweeze a couple hairs around. And probably after lamination, it's much better to tweeze the brows than to use wax, especially if any product got on the skin. So the skin is already, pH balance is changed. So it can cause an extra irritation if you're actually using wax. So, I mean, if you have like areas like right over here in the middle of her brow, in between the brows, I mean, or on the top you need to wax, you can do that. But closer to the shape, I think tweezing is actually much better way to shape clients' eyebrows. Gotta get rid of some little guys over here as well. Creating some tears. How long do you usually book out for brow lamination and tint? An hour or an hour and 15 minutes, it depending. Again, an hour and 15 minutes, probably you're going to be on the safe side if the client comes to you the first time and you don't know how her hairs are going to process. Some hairs you might have to use a little bit of adhesive and style them in place first. So that being said, you kind of add in a little time to do that. So although the the application of solutions is going to be faster, but you still need the time, the full time to process the solutions. So an hour and 15 minutes, I think good for lamination and a tint. If you work a little faster, I work very slow with the brows when I apply the solution and make sure I style them correct. So I do book an hour and 15 minutes. Do you ever use Belmasil for lamination? Belmasil has much stronger developer, and Elleebana Profusion system is designed to go together with a lamination system for brow and lashes, designed to go together with the Profusion tints. I always stick with the product that go together because they're designed to go together. So the Profusion tints are much gentler for the eyebrows during a brow lamination. So I do not prefer to use Belmasil while I'm using the Profusion system. So, but if you do, this is the only option you have. What you can do, you can shorten time. You really got to watch the brow because it develops really fast, because the Belmasil has a higher percentage of a developer. So you probably want to use the color that much lighter than you will normally use on a client, and constantly checking the brow for the color. Does it make sense? What adhesive do you use for lamination? I use the adhesive, the lash adhesive, but the regular one. The lash lift adhesive or lash lamination adhesive, the Elleebana, not the super strength one, not the strong hold one, but just the regular one. And very, very lightly. Guys, when I apply adhesive, I'm actually going to show it to you a little bit on her hairs. I'm going to take the tint off and show. So when I apply adhesive, right, I use those tiny little brushes. It's a 1 millimeter one. So they're so tiny. And I just take a tiny bit of adhesive and only apply it on the hairs that need to be, that need to be styled, because not all the brow need to be styled with the adhesive. Although recently I did the client that needed that I needed to use an adhesive on the entire eyebrow. The reason why, her hairs were very suitable for the lamination. They were strong, they were very kind of, a little bit unruly, but the problem is her skin was a little bit sensitive within the brow area. Not even outside of a brow, but in a brow area. So, and a little bit drier. So what I wanted to create an extra protection for her skin. So I use a very thin layer of adhesive before I put the solutions on. But when you do use adhesive all over the eyebrow, you're going to be the styling step when you use the adhesive, because then you only apply solutions and that's all. So you can't use a clean wrap, nothing. So because if you use a clean wrap you don't want to put too much as well on the brow. So but with the adhesive you can also up the time. So if I, example, I wanted to do 5 minutes, I did 6 minutes, 6 and 4. So let's see, is there another question? Thank you for answering question, is watching. Okay, so we removed the tint. Again, I'm gonna use, this was with the dry swab, so I'm gonna use the wet swab as well, but see how beautiful they are. I'm very, very pleased how they turned out. So they still look very natural. The hairs are very flexible, and what I love about it, guys, so when her hairs, you can't of course see it, but I can see when her hairs start growing out, those hairs are actually not gonna have a bend because they're still styled. They still have a little roundness right at the root. So this way we preserve when the brow is growing, so the brow is not gonna have this type of kink. I'm gonna draw on your head, Jen, like this. So this has happened when we press the brows too harsh to the skin. So then when the brow is growing out, then at the root you're gonna have this bend. So such is very unattractive. I'm gonna look in a couple weeks when the brows really start growing out. So let me use a wet the spongy applicator here to remove my line. So now we can style the brows. I am going to be using a little bit of a pencil, of course, on the spots that we need to, you know, that she has a sparse spots around the bottom outline. Again, as you see, as I mentioned, the light brown, it's stuck to the hairs pretty well. Her hairs are beautifully colored, but the light brown color in that in the profusion system is not going to stain the skin too much. It left a tiny bit of a stain, but not really too harsh. So I'm going to put a little bit of a pencil on the spots, just very, very lightly. What I like to do, I just like to add like a little hair strokes, so mimic her natural hairs. Just a little bit, just to give the illusion that there's a little bit of a thickness there. And we're gonna do it right on this eyebrow. And then I'm gonna use a little bit of a styling gel and just set her brows in place. If anything needs to be trimmed afterwards, that's when I'm gonna trim the eyebrows. I do not wanna trim the eyebrows before lamination, or, you know, or right after they're laminated. I trim them right at the very end. And in her case, they were a little bit trimmed, so it might be just a couple hairs that need to be trimmed. At the end, what I do, I use again the styling brush, the little styling brush. Do you use a place over when setting? I used to see profusion lasting the brows average time. How long do you see the profusion lasting on the brows average time? So I had a client who came to me. I did her lamination 6 weeks ago, and her brows were still very flexible. I don't offer lamination service for the clients more often than 8 to 12 weeks. You can do it as early as 4 weeks, 6 weeks, but the brows have to be completely grown out. So you will see, or completely relaxed. So it's very rare when you can repeat the service on a 4-week schedule. So 6 weeks, it's minimum. And then I personally prefer 8 weeks, 8 and sometimes 12 weeks. Sometimes when I even laminate clients' eyebrows once, then the hairs just keep being relaxed or in place for much longer. So I just watch my clients' eyebrows and see when they need to come for the next lamination, if it's needed. Because guys, we are talking here about the chemical process. Regardless how gentle it is, it's still a chemical process for the hairs. So we want to make sure that we're not treating brows too often with the chemical solution. Because if we can very well see when the lamination grows out on the lashes, sometimes it's not that visual on the brows. And the last thing you want is to process the brows over and over, the brows that are already been processed with the product, and do it again. So there we go, fuller, they're so flexible. It's gonna be no problem for her styling them. 24 hours, no water, no workout, so I'm giving you a free pass from the gym. She's a workout holic, I don't know how to say it. So see, it's guys, it's much easier, and if you just watch clients' hairs. I like to create natural styles where if her brows are growing out, they're still gonna look beautiful, and she will just have such an easy time styling them. So just a couple finishes touches. This is one hair here who is a little stubborn, so it's sticking up, so we're gonna take it out. But the rest of her brow looks beautiful. Do you guys have any more questions? Anything? Hold on, there are more questions coming along. There we go. Hold on, I'm gonna turn you guys around a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about turn the light off. We'll answer your questions as well. To clarify, lamination. Oh, you're talking about Profusion color. Well, here's what you can do. For the tint, you can invite your clients every 4 to 6 weeks. I still prefer to do the tint every 6 weeks regardless. So anything that comes that creates a little bit of a stronger, or not stronger, but anything that has like a chemical kind of ingredient or chemical reaction on the brow hairs, I prefer to use only every 6 weeks. Again, lashes is a different story. The cycle of a lash is much faster. The cycle of a lash goes. The cycle of the brows is much longer, so you need to really watch clients' eyebrows before repeating service. Do you believe to achieve strong skin stay in the same appointment with brow lamination? You absolutely can achieve a stronger skin stain. It depending what you use. We could have added a little bit of a graphite to this mix, but I would hold it a little not as long. So what's going to happen here, I will watch the stain appear. If the client has a little darker eyebrow, sometimes you can even add a tiny bit of a black to the tint, but again, you have to really watch the brows. When you do brow lamination, the stain on the skin is still going to be stronger if you use the Profusion tints by themselves without using lamination. Again, the reason why pH balance is a little bit different on the skin grabs the tint a little more. I still prefer not to leave a harsh stain on the skin because tints are only supposed to basically tint hairs. If the client wants, again, to have a stain, I always offer them to come in 2 weeks for the henna appointment. So, do you guys have any other questions or anything? I think there were. Do you use ceramic to place over when setting? Yes, I do. I do set, and I showed it, so I absolutely use a clean wrap when the setting. It's actually the most important. You don't even have to use it probably in the first solution, but the second solution, you really want to set it in place. So you want to use the cellophane, but if the client has like a thinner brows, you want to make sure you don't press it too much. So you kind of watch it depending on the client's hairs. Then 2 weeks until you henna 2 weeks. So in the beginning, when I just started working with the Profusion when it came out, so I tried 1 week, but then Otto actually recommended that it's better to wait full 2 weeks. So 2 weeks is minimum, and then you can do, you know, you can do as many weeks, I guess. Like some of my clients don't want to come back 2 weeks, so they come back in a 6 weeks appointment. Do you recommend the Elleeplex Advanced Aftercare for your clients after lamination? So gel and Elleeplex, absolutely, yes. So Aftercare is a must. So if you want to keep like an integrity of the hairs and a brow, you want to offer your clients the Elleeplex Aftercare. It's going to add nourishment on a daily basis. And then gel, guys, when we do lamination, you have to understand that the client is going to walk out of your you know, out of your studio with the perfectly looking eyebrows, but the lamination is not supposed to have them on this level all the time. So the client have to use the gel. And also when the client is using the gel, it's also helps to for longevity of lamination results as well. A joint lab, is there available to? Yeah, I will try to save it, guys. Maybe I'm Kelly, I will try to save everything. But also, guys, there's much more to lamination than this. I just wanted to give you like a little kind of how I do it and what I wish. There's so much more to it. How to style the brows for different hairstyle, for different hairs, for different hair thickness, for different skins. You can use lamination just to relax eyebrows, not just do this type of service. What tints to use, all about Profusion tints I will be covering when I come to Minneapolis on what is it, Kelly? I always forget. April 25th and 26th I'm having 26 as a workshop, and then 25th we're having certified training. Certified training is the basics, of course. It comes with certification. My workshop is going to go into details of everything, like inside and out, everything that I learned of years of doing it, about clients' hairs, about like basically all the knowledge that I have. So especially the styling and directions of the brows and how important it is, not like some steps that you should avoid during lamination process. So at Panoply Beauty, Kelly, I think I said it correct, .com on the website. You can find a link to sign up if you want to join. Again, whoever in Minneapolis area, that will be perfect opportunity. If anyone wants to fly in, we're all flying in and staying in Mall of America Hotel, Radisson Hotel, so we can have, you know, time there to really go deep into lamination, since it's kind of a new service to the Elleebana world. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Again, I'm pretty sure if you have any comments or anything, I'll save the video. Now we'll just make it available to everybody. Bye. Thank you so much.